Our final report tonight is about the politics and power of money. When money talks softly, both parties listen. Producer Martin Kewen reports from the money trail.
Normally, Amtrak charges $89 for a round-trip ticket between Washington and New York City, but not on this train. A lot of the people who crowded into Gate D at Washington's Union Station the day before the Democratic Convention were eager to pay a little bit more for a special ride.
David, get the train people.
Yeah, you get it. You get it.
And not everyone was welcome.
This is a private function.
No, we're not looking for an area.
But it's a private function.
This enterprising crew from CNN couldn't even get close to the train. This is the Democratic Party's victory train, carrying members of Congress and party officials to the convention in New York City. Special guests were invited too, provided they could cough up $10,000 for the ride, one way.
Happy days are here again.
For $89, you don't get to spend 5 hours with members of Congress and ambassadors from all over the world.
Okay, are you shipping everybody?
Lobbyists for the New York Stock Exchange, for hazardous waste companies, for the Smokeless Tobacco Council, for lots of different trade groups and lobby firms.
Sheila Kaplan of Legal Times was the only reporter to slip on the train with her notebook and camera. Did you see a lot of lobbying going on while you were on the train?
Well, yes, I did, although the lobbyists wouldn't call it that.
What do they call it?
Well, let's see. Tommy Boggs called it socializing.
To Tommy Boggs, known around Capitol Hill as the king of the lobbyists, socializing with congressional leadership is business. His firm, Patton, Boggs & Blow, has represented clients as diverse as tobacco companies, the chemical industry, and Japanese auto dealers. And on the Democratic Party victory train, there was plenty of what Tommy Boggs calls socializing going on.
Join us, work with us, win with us, and we can make our country the country it was meant to be.
Bill Clinton says he believes that lobbyists and special interests are a problem that President Bush ignores.
He won't break the stranglehold the special interests have on our elections and the lobbyists have on our government, but I will.
America needs change. Bill Clinton knows that. He's going to be a president who creates change and who makes America all it can be.
But you have to wonder what kind of change Ron Brown means when he is a partner of master lobbyist Tommy Boggs, a partner who was still on the payroll, even while he served as chairman of the Democratic Party.
And I see something happening in our towns and in our neighborhoods. Sharp lawyers are running wild.
President Bush hammered away at this coziness with lawyers in his acceptance speech.
After all, my opponent's campaign is being backed by practically every trial lawyer who ever wore a tasseled loafer.
If you look down the list of contributors to Clinton's campaign, you're going to find the biggest and most influential law firms in the country. Many of them based in New York, in Chicago, and almost all of them with Washington offices. These are offices that, though they're legal offices, they're very much involved in the business of lobbying, trying to pass laws and influence legislation in Washington.
Larry Makinson is the research director at the Center for Responsive Politics. His team is trying to track who is giving money to the candidates. President Bush was right about the lawyers in Clinton, but he forgot to mention something.
Well, not all of the lawyers are giving their money to Bill Clinton. In fact, lawyers and lobbyists were the #1 contributor to the Bush campaign as well as the Clinton campaign. He didn't mention that.
There's a lot both candidates aren't telling the voters.
The candidates are not working very hard to illuminate the American public on where their campaign contributions are coming from. They might work hard to tell you where the other guy's campaign contributions are coming from, but they'd rather not talk about their own, thank you.
Even though Federal Election Commission rules require the campaigns to identify their donors, more than half of the contributors to the Clinton campaign hide their occupations. And 2/3 of the president's donors don't want voters to know where their money comes from.
Now, we shouldn't be sitting here looking at these computers, looking up all these people and trying to be detectives to find out who's giving money to the Bush and Clinton campaigns. They're supposed to be filling in the blanks and telling the American public who's funding their campaigns. They're not doing it.
Why aren't they doing it?
Why should they do it? If you look at their point of view, it makes it easy for their opponents to see where there's money coming from. It makes it easy for groups like ours who's trying to be monitoring this stuff and getting it out to the news media. It makes it difficult for us to do our job if we have absolutely nothing but a name, you know, and an address to go on.
And the givers have found ingenious ways of disguising their contributions. One is called bundling. That's where corporate offices and their spouses give legal individual contributions and then bundle them together for the candidate.
Two groups in particular tend to do this sort of bundling of contributions, and that's lawyers and lobbying firms, and also the securities industry, Wall Street.
For example, Makinson looked at the contributions reported to the FEC by the investment bankers Goldman Sachs. The number came to $37,000. Then the detective work starts.
For instance, if you looked at an FEC report, you'd see that this particular person considers themselves to be a homemaker, and they are a homemaker. But what they don't tell you is the person they're married to works for Goldman Sachs and Company. And here's an example here, investment banker. That's what they put down for their occupation. It's not wrong, but it's just not complete. That's what they do for a living. Well, they do that for a living. Guess who they work for? Goldman Sachs and Company.
And when you add it all up, that $37,000 Goldman Sachs reported giving to the Clinton campaign was, to be charitable, conservative.
In fact, it was over $90,000. In fact, it was almost $100,000 that Goldman Sachs delivered just through its partners and their spouses.
To Bill Clinton?
To Bill Clinton. Now,
were they trying to hide that money?
Well, let's say that Goldman Sachs was not exactly being forthcoming about the fact that they were giving all this money to Bill Clinton. But for that matter, neither was the Clinton campaign.
And as most of us in our